In this video, I'll be showing you how to create an EC2 instance. An EC2 instance is what gives you the possibility to create a compute resource on the AWS cloud. Compute basically means virtual servers. If you want to have servers which you can run or use in the AWS cloud, you want to use the virtual. If you want to have servers that you can use on the AWS cloud, you want to use the EC2 or the Elastic Compute Cloud Service on AWS cloud. Let's go into our AWS console to see how to create the necessary AWS compute resource, the EC2 instance. Now on the AWS cloud, one thing to know is the virtual servers are called instances. So if you want to have a virtual server, you call it an instance on the AWS cloud. Now, once you're on your management console, you can have EC2 here, or you could equally search for EC2, which represents Elastic Compute Cloud. So we have EC2, where you can build virtual servers in the cloud. So the top features, you can have the VPC dashboard, launch templates, instances, and so on. So let's click on dashboard. So once you click on dashboard, it will take you to the AWS management dashboard for Elastic Compute Cloud. So you see the EC2 dashboard, you can view instances, instance types, instance launch templates, port requests, Amazon machine images, which are AMIs, volumes, EBS volumes, network and security groups, Elastic IPs, key pairs, and so on. So all of these are credentials all of these are configurations with respect to a compute instance. So for you to create an EC2, which is a compute or a virtual server, you click on launch instance. So to get started, launch an EC2 instance, which is a virtual server in the cloud. So you click on launch instance. You must first take note where you're creating this instance. By saying where you're creating this instance, it means which AWS region. So you come here, you see the different AWS regions. So we have North Virginia, Ohio, North California, Oregon, Mumbai, and so on. So we are specifically creating this compute resource in the US West 2 region, which is the Oregon region. So to launch an instance, AWS allows you to create virtual machines or instances that run on the AWS cloud. Quickly get started by following the simple steps. It's a very basic steps which we are going to follow to configure different settings with respect to an EC2 instance. So first, you must give the name of the instance. So you can call this the production. You can call it production server. Now this is the default tag which this compute resource will come with. You can add additional tags if you want. Maybe you could add a tag and then you give it the name, or you can say environment. If you want to tag it to a particular environment which you're building this instance for, you can say environment, and then you can specify the value maybe to the prod environment. Now once you have this, the next configuration, which is most important, is you must select the Amazon machine image, which they call AMIs. The Amazon machine image basically specifies which operating system you want to use to create this virtual machine. As you all know, servers or compute resources run on operating systems, so you must select an operating system. So AWS says that an AMI is a template that contains a software configuration, that is operating system, application server, and applications. So first, which you need, or all of these are required to launch your instance. So for you to do that, you can browse instances. So AWS has some default instances. You can have an Amazon machine image or virtual server that is based off the Linux operating system. You can have a server that is based on the Mac operating system, Mac standing for Mac. You can have an operating system that is based on Ubuntu. You can have that based on Windows. So you want to launch a Windows virtual machine, you can launch. You have Red Hat, and if you're looking for a virtual machine image that is not found among these popular images, you can search for more AMIs. So if you click on browse more AMIs, you see many other AMIs. You can have quick start AMIs. You can see if you can equally create your own AMI. I do not have any AMI created in this account. Then you can go to the AWS marketplace, which is a place where they have several different AMIs for different use cases. So these are different AMIs for different use cases, and then you can view other community AMIs. So I'll cancel this, but this is basically how you can get to know more AMIs. So I'll cancel this, and then I'll select the Amazon Linux, which is what is most widely used. And once I select Amazon Linux, you can choose the particular Amazon Linux family. So if you click here, you always want to use AMIs that are free tier. Free tier means that you're not being charged per hour for using these services for too long. So let's select the Amazon Linux 2. And then once you select the Amazon Linux 2, now the capacity of this instance, how much capacity you need for this particular virtual machine, is configured in what we call the instance type. And AWS has different instance types based on different requirements. The main requirements which AWS takes into accountability is the virtual CPUs which the instance can have, and the memory, and to some extent the graphic capacity of such instances. So based on the vCPUs and the memory, AWS has different prices per hour of using this virtual machine. So you can have a Linux price, they give you on-demand prices. If you don't want to use these on-demand prices, you can check other pricing options which AWS has, but I recommend you use the T2 Micro, which is a free tier. Now, once you've configured the instance type, you want to use a key pair. Now, key pairs are what you use to log into instances. We've talked about Linux instance. If you want to be able to access this Linux instance, you want to be able to access this Linux virtual machine, you must have a key pair, which is required. Now, if you don't have a key pair, you can click on create a new key pair, or you can select your environment and then you select any key pair you have in your region. So you can proceed with a key pair, or you can proceed without a key pair, meaning you will not be able to log into this instance, or you can create a new key pair. So if you click on create a new key pair, what is required is for you to enter the key pair name. So let's just say this is the prod key pair. Once you create the prod key pair, you always want to allow it as .pem, which is what is used for OpenSSH. And then once you create this key pair, you can create key pair. Once you give the key pair name, you can create a key pair. Now they'll tell you, do you want to allow downloads? So you must download this key pair. So if you allow downloads, this key pair will be downloaded, and if you go into your download folder of your computer system, you should see the key pair. Now, for you to log into this instance, you must be in the directory where this key pair is located. Now, for network settings, you can have default network settings. You always want to use your default VPC. Now, if you want this instance to be accessed over the internet, you can enable auto assign public IP. If you do not have a security group basically is what prevents access, or what allows access into a given compute or a given server. So you can have default security groups. For each server, AWS creates a default security group. So like for this one, the default security here is you want to allow SSH traffic from anywhere. So if you want to connect to this instance from anywhere over the internet, you can allow this default traffic, or you can select an existing security group. So if you have a security group that you have created, you can select that security group among a list of security groups. This is a default security group that was created by the instance. So you can select this and you're working with that default, or else you can create a new security group. Now, after you configure this, you want to allow this storage as default. Now, if you have some configurations that you want to run with this instance on startup, you can set those configurations under advanced details. So the advanced details here, you can always, most often times, you can configure an instance profile, which means you want to be able to add some permissions with respect to the IAM. So you can select IAM instance profile. That gives more permissions to who can access this instance, or which service on AWS can also make use of this instance. So once you select that, if you want to have some configuration which you want to run with your instance on startup, you can choose a file to upload as configuration, or you can copy the codes which you want to be executed on the instance startup here. Once you do that and you put these basic configurations, you see we have summary. You can decide how many instances do you want to create. You want to create 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever number. You can select those instances, the number here, and then it gives you a summary of the operating system which you're using. It tells you the instance type, it tells you the security group which you're creating, the default, and then it tells you the instance storage. And if everything is good, you select launch instance. Now, once you select launch instance, it's going to take some time for the instance to be created. You see launching instance, creating security group, details this. Please wait while we launch your instance. Do not close this. Once it's successfully created, you see your successfully created or launch or successful initiated launch of instance. It gives you the instance ID. So you can create a load balancer, you can create an AWS budget, and so on. So let's click on view all instances to see the instance which you just created. And once you click on all instances, you see the instance you just created, production server. It gives you the instance ID. It tells you the instance state is pending, means that it's being created. The instance type, the status check, alarm, the availability zone in which it is located, US OS 2B, the instance public IP. It gives you the instance public IP. It is not attached to any elastic IP. It gives you the security group to which this instance is attached. It tells you the key pair where this instance, which you can use to access this instance, the launch time, tells you the operating system on which this instance is based, and so on. So these are some basic details about this instance. Now the instance has different states. It can be in the running state or independent state. Now the instance is independent state, but the status for the instance must be on a 2-on-2 check before you can be able to use the instance. Now this is basically the 2-on-2, or basically initializing the instance, and you can get more details about this instance from here. Like I said, you can get general details, instance ID, public IP, private IP. You can get the status and alarms if this instance is connected to any CloudWatch alarm. You can get monitoring around this instance, CPU utilization, network in bytes, network in and network out, CPU usage. You can also check the security, which security group this instance is attached to, inbound traffic into this instance and outbound traffic out of the instance. You can check your networking for the instance, which public or which IP address the instance has, which subnet it belongs to, which availability zones it belongs to. And then you can equally check the storage, what storage capacity volume is attached to this instance, and then you can have the instance stack. So you see this instance in the production environment, and then the instance name is the production server. So this is some basic information on how you can create an EC2 instance on the AWS cloud.